Yeah, I'm here, and I guess I'm just gonna do a retrospective on Honk's Cakery because, everybody misses Honk's Cakery. It was such a beautiful, beautiful project. Nothing ever went wrong. Um, but I didn't even write a script for this. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna fucking wing it because I'm too lazy to write a script. I don't think you can really blame me at this point. I don't feel like typing a huge ass, like, 20 paragraph script about Hawk's fucking cakery. It's really not that serious. But, yeah. Also, I feel like it's just gonna be a bit more, entertaining for me to just, like, ramble about this than it would be to be, like, some generic shitty, one of those really shitty video essays. Like those really shitty video essays that you'll see online where it's like, the rise and fall of Honk's Cakery. And it would be like some really, really crappy generic thumbnail, and it'd be me with a black bar over my eyes. Sin exposed 2026. Anyway, um, yeah, this is just gonna be a retrospective about Honk's Cakery, I think. I honestly don't really know where to start. So I'm just gonna get into it, or try to. I think I'll try starting at like a bit before Hawk started. I want to give some context beforehand, so you know really how it all began. Um, so prior to Honk's Cakery, I had another mashup alias, not Sin. I'm talking about the one before that. Not many people really know about it anymore, but I used to have an alias called Metaphoric Balls. Yes, that was actually the name of the alias. The name of the alias was fucking Metaphoric Balls. And I hate to admit it, but I probably made one of the worst albums of 2024. Like, I'm serious. If you look at Album of the Year and look at one of the albums from Metaphoric Balls, it has like 50 something ratings and has a score of like 8 out of 100. It's so fucking bad. And yeah, I'll say the album's fucking terrible. Um, but enough about that. On Metaphoric Balls, I would make these like really shitty Sewer Slut parody mashups, where I made fun of her in different albums, even though I actually, that was back when I still supported her. I don't anymore. I think she's a horrible, horrible person and should die. I mean, what? Anyway, I kept doing those into early 2025, and I also started an archive channel where I re-uploaded stuff. And this guy, I mean, some of you who have been around for a while, and okay, maybe not a lot of you, but there's might be one or two people watching this who will know about this guy. There was a guy I met named Rio, and he added me on Discord. I think it was January of last year, and he we just talked a bit, and we actually shared that we actually both made mashups, and we shared them. He also made Death Grips mashups like I did. Um, and eventually we decided that we were gonna start our own shitposting group, and we called that group Honk's Cakery. Well, I called it Honk's Cakery. Fun fact, I completely pulled that name out of my ass within the span of a minute. Yeah, I didn't really put much thought into it. I kind of just saw Honk's Bakery, and I was like, yeah, Honk's Cakery, let's fucking go. Um, and we made an album called Elon Musk EP. And the cover was very beautiful. I'll put the cover on screen. It was a very beautiful cover, indeed. It took a few different drafts, but eventually we came up with something. And basically, this album was made to make fun of the current political climate, because this was in January 2025, a few months after the 2024 election. And if you've been following me long enough, you'll know I'm not very fond of the current administration. So we made this album to make fun of them, and the whole gimmick was that we literally just sampled epic rap battles of history, Darth Vader versus Hitler. That was literally just that for like 30 tracks in over like an hour. It was absolutely horrible, but absolutely amazing at the same time. Um, the album isn't online anymore, but I have it still in my special archives. Yeah. And after we did that album, we started getting a few new members joining our group. I don't want to say every member by name, and I doubt they'd want me to either. But I mean, I'll just say I'll say Rio because it's basically public at this point. I mean, there's not really any point in trying to beat around the bush with that. But I'll say their aliases. Noel joined, Sigdrilla joined, those people. And we started doing solo albums shortly after this. Or, I mean, it was technically a solo EP. It was just released under Honks. There's nothing really to go over because it's like a couple of really shitty things I made in 2023 that I never really used. But, our next Honks album, I think, after that was... What was it? Tranquil Piano Tracks, I think that was it. Tranquil Piano Tracks was basically a split album between me and Rio, where our goal was to make a bait-and-switch album that presented itself as some aesthetic, peaceful, calming piano music at first. And then on the second track, it just turned into like Merzbow-styled harsh noise. That was basically the whole gimmick, and it was just that for like the whole thing. Horrible fucking album, but that we thought it was funny. I mean, it still is kind of funny. It's like we never really took much inspiration from Ziva Gunner. A lot of our inspiration was taken from like Honk's Cakery. Did I just say Honk's Cake? God fucking damn it. Punk's Bakery. We took inspiration more from Punk's Bakery than we did Ziva Gunner, which honestly is probably a good thing. Because there are so many fucking people who rip off Ziva Gunner. It is so absurd. You will see so many fucking Ziva Gunner clones. I am so sick of it. Anyway. I mean, I can't really talk. I made some pretty bad shit myself, but, I like that. There's a little bit of Ziva Gunner in that, if you really think about it, because Ziva Gunner does bait and switch, where they'll bait you into thinking that something is high quality. I mean, I remember I fell for a Ziva rip when I was like 12, and I got really pissed off. True story, by the way. But I like that part about it. I mean, everything else is like, But, yeah. Anyway. I think after that, I don't remember early Honks very well. I think I was doing some solo albums after that, under Metaphoric Balls still. This is still before Sin. I didn't start Sin until I think March of last year. Before that, I was still doing that shit alias. Released some really shitty albums, did some stuff under Set the Core for a bit. That was a side project. You should not look at it, please. I would not recommend it. I don't even think you can anymore, actually. But yeah, and I think I started Sin in early March. By this point, a lot more people had joined. I'm not gonna say their actual names again because that's not cool, but. I mean, I'll say like we had what was this guy's name? It was Shiny Farts, I think. Really shitty alias name, but we also had She Who Shall Not Be Named. I don't want to say her name, but she was with our group for a bit, and what a character. Anyway. I was also there in some outer space. DJ Vance, who at the time was Slugcat, some other people, Gamma Oscillator, people like that. And anyway, I think at our peak, our band had about 30 members. It was basically a band, yeah. And all those people were there, and everyone had different aliases and projects. Like, Most members of the band never actually made a full solo album. I think the only people who ever actually made solo albums, not even EPs, I'm talking like full solo albums, were me, Noel, Rio, and She Shall Not Be Named. I think, yeah, Sigdrilla too. But I think other than that, I don't remember anybody who actually made a full solo album. Out of the 30 members, I think only 5 actually made any. Most were just casual contributors to the band albums, which is perfectly fine, you know. Some of those albums are actually still pretty good. I still think some of those hold up, but I think some of them are really fucking bad. But anyway, I started Sin in March 2025, and that was like the first initial wave. You know, that's when like I did Killing the Lord of the Bottomless Pit and Bottomless Worlds, Arrow Houdini, Inner Birds, shit like that from last year. You know, that's originally when Sin came out, and at the time I was known as Sin the Patrician, which is like elite ball knowledge nowadays, I think. But, you know, I made a album called My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy. It was really fucking bad. It was really, really bad. My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy is probably one of the worst albums I've ever made. It's nowhere near as bad as anything under Metaphoric Balls, not even close. But it's pretty bad still. It's the worst Sin album in my opinion. I think part of that probably has to do with the fact there's a 15 fucking minute track that's just Childish Gambino slowed down. Like, who wants to listen to that for 15 minutes, you know? And it's in the middle of the album, too. Like, I could have put that anywhere else, or better yet, I could have just not used it at all. But, you know, here we are now. I think it was April. Oh, no, it wasn't April. It was late March. We did Honk's Cakery selected Cakery Works, which at the time was a pretty big album for us. It had 50 songs. It was like 2.5 something hours long. I think just about everybody who was in the band at the time contributed. Maybe there were like 1 or 2 who didn't contribute, but there were many contributors. I'm trying to remember. Honestly, the album was like not really even. It was okay. I guess it was okay. It was an okay album. It had some good stuff on it. There are some good songs on it, but there's some absolute hot fucking garbage. Mostly the shit Rio made is the hot garbage. And I think even he would say some of his tracks on that album are not good. Like, I mean, my god, I did re-listen to it a few times, and it's okay, I guess. I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't recommend it. Like, there's some tracks that are pretty bad, but, I mean, it's whatever now. You can't even listen to it anymore, so. I think after Selected Cakery Works is when I would do more Sin stuff, and then we got Sin Breaks the Internet, and oh yeah, we also had Goon with the Spoon. How did I forget Goon with the Spoon? That Noel album. That's a pretty good Noel album. I always thought it was kind of underrated in the Honk's discography because like people would always see people talking about like Selected Cakery Works or Elon Musk EP. But, you know, I never really saw anybody talking about Goon with the Spoon, and part of that's probably because it's not even a Honk's album, technically. It's a Noel solo album. But it's a very good album. You know, I feel like out of everybody who was in Honk's, I actually think Noel's stuff is probably held up the best. Because I mean, some of my shit's definitely not held up. Some of the old stuff's really bad, but I can't really think of anything from Noel that hasn't aged well. I mean, there's probably like 1 or 2 songs that I can probably name that haven't aged very well, but I mean, it happens, you know. Anyway, I think around this time was when I started a side project called, sorry if you hear that, I'm fidgeting with something. It's when I started a side project called Sad XYZ. It was like a vapor ambient project. It wasn't actually a part of Honk's Cakery, but it was something. Um, May. Oh, May. Yeah, in May we did our first ever Honk sample contest, which would also be the last ever sample contest. um, a lot of the submissions were pretty bad. We only got like 7, 6, ha ha ha, 6, 7 submissions, but God, remember if people actually thought 6, 7 was funny? Anyway, yeah, it was a pretty forgettable EP. We released every submission as an EP, and the winner was included as the last track, and despite being the one who's running the contest, my submission ended up winning. So yeah, that's something, I guess. The only ever winner of a Honks contest was the person who ran the contest. Isn't that sad? There was... I don't really think there was much else from May that I can remember, honestly. May was a pretty forgettable month for Honks, I think. I can't really think of anything that really happened in May aside from the sample contest and like 1 or 2 solo albums. June. Nothing much really happened in June either. I think most of the summer for Honks was kind of more like Discord stuff. I don't want to get too deep in all the drama, but like that stuff kind of started in July though, not really June. In June, I think that was when I don't remember when. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was June when I released the Fixed rant. And if you don't know who Defixed is, good for you. And Defixed, if you're listening to this, do you have anything better to do at this point? Like, I mean, think about it. Like, I doubt you're listening anymore. But if you are, like, just fucking let it go, okay? I don't care anymore. Sin is gone. Honks is gone. Okay. Why are you here? What are you here for? You know. Piss off. Anyway, you know, I probably shouldn't be feeding attention to, you know, the pedophile that loves attention, but you know what? It's too late now. I'm not cutting that from the video. It's an important part of Honk's history that I feel like should be gone over. So. We had to deal with a bunch of the fix bullshit for a while. I remember, like, I don't remember who made it anymore, but somebody in their group literally drew, like, art of me, and it was so fucking weird. I think I might still have it, saved somewhere. I probably do. I have the old server archive. I can probably find it. But, they were also spying on us in the server and everything. And mind you, we were all minors at the time, basically, and this person is in like their early to mid 20s, spying on kids. So do with that what you will. Anyway, I also did. We did have more solo albums, of course. There was My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy 2. I don't think Noel's Piss Core album came out until July. I don't remember anymore. But, in July, we had more shit happen with the Fixed, of course. That's when they started spying on us in our server. You know how I know that they were spying on us in our server? I know because I checked their Twitter one day, and I literally see screenshots from our fucking Discord server in their Twitter banner, you know? You know, I think it's pretty bad to be a grown-ass adult spying on children. You know, I don't think it's a very good look. But, you do you, I guess, pedophile. You'll rot in hell, I hope you know that. Anyway, sadly, if there is a hell, I really hope there is. But, July, we also had situations where the server started getting out of hand, like... We had situations where People, I'm not going to say what it is because I know it could be triggering for some people, and I don't want to, make people feel bad like that. Um, and plus, this is a retrospective on Honk's Cakery, not a trauma dump. But, um, I'm just going to say we had some not good events happen there. And I had to start cracking down on it. I did try, My ultimate goal as a server owner was I just wanted everyone to be safe, and I wanted everyone to have a good time and have fun. Because, it wasn't just that. These people were my friends, too. I cared about them on a personal level. I wanted them to be safe, and I wanted everybody to be safe, and I wanted to do what was best for everyone. So I tried to crack down on the behavior. And so I'll give just their credit, some people did listen, and to those people, I'm very thankful. Not everybody in that server was a bad person, but there were some people who definitely, I think, should have been removed. And I will admit, on my part as a server owner, I think I should have done more to crack down on their behavior earlier, and I apologize for not doing so in advance. And I also apologize for not being clear enough that things were wrong. I tried, okay? I did try to... I warned them. I made announcements and everything. I could show those on screen. But it never really went anywhere in the end. I tried to do some touch-ups to the server. I added event channels so people wouldn't have to discuss personal topics in general chat. And, people did use it, and I was thankful for that, but, event channels were never a good thing. They always turn out really bad. Honks never initially had event channel, because the whole point of the server was just dumb bullshit, but eventually we needed one. And I was glad people were using it for its intended purpose, but it was event channels are never good. They never end well. They always end up going bad. And I remember getting another moderator into the server, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I made more warnings. I was getting more and more fed up with them, and I think they could tell because they literally made a server behind my back called Piss Messiah. I'll admit I was incompetent. I had some form of incompetence at running a server, because keep in mind, I had never actually ran a server before. This is the first time I've ever ran a server that had more than like 4 people in it, okay? So it was a little much for me to handle, and I had to hire moderators. But it's hard when 2 out of 4 of the moderators that you have are literally going against the rules and are making you go crazy. So eventually I just thought, I'm gonna do what's best for everybody. I'm gonna do what's best for myself. I'm gonna do what's best for everyone in the server. This is the right thing to do. I can't do this because everyone needs to be safe. There are people who are in this server who are not safe to be around. And I, as a server owner, cannot manage a server where this kind of behavior will continue no matter how many warnings I give. So, on August 5th, I shut down the server for good. And with shutting down the server, I recall I think I kicked out almost the entire band because I really just I wanted to get away from everything. I'd seen some pretty bad shit in that server I'm not going to unsee for a very long time. And honestly, I just wanted to do what was best for everybody. I wanted people to be safe, and I just... after this, a lot of shit went down because of that decision, but ultimately, I still think it was the right thing to do. And it had to be done. And there are people now, everybody I tell about this agrees with me that the server had to go. So, with all that being said now, on August 10th, there's a new Honks album called Glass Ball Sack. this was a collaborative album with Noel, who was still with the band at the time, and I'm in my opinion, I personally believe that this is the best Honks album. It doesn't drag on too long. It has a good amount of tracks, and the tracks are pretty high quality. I don't have much to say about it, but this was during a time when the Honks Bandcamp was taken down because Rio had downloaded all of our albums for some reason. I think it was because he thought we were gonna delete our stuff, but we never actually did. So you know, we had to do all that, right? And then I eventually found out, you know, that there's a shitload of misinformation going around about me, which is an issue I've been dealing with for over a year now, by the way. There's still probably a bunch of misinformation going around of things that straight up never fucking happen. And it's really pissed me off. I remember I would literally be so depressed, and it was really, really hard for me. Honks as a band would continue for many months. I did more solo albums, some other members did more solo albums, but after a while, you can really tell the band just started to dissipate. I think we had 2 solo albums after Glass Ballsack. The first, not solo albums, band albums. One of them was Tomatoes Incorporated, which actually, Tomatoes Incorporated was made entirely in the span of, I think, of 3 hours, I think. And it really shows, but... Tomatoes Incorporated was, basically... It's different from every other album we made. It's not really mashups, it's just random bullshit made in, like, FL. There's some really weird shit on it, and I love it for that. But my god. My god, man. Then, I think in the same month as Tomatoes Incorporated, I made My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy 3. I released it. Because the album was actually in production for like 3 months prior. It was the longest I've ever taken for me to make an album, because it is 67 songs! It's 2.5 hours long. I'm pretty sure that album is longer than Selected Cakery Works, by the way. It's the longest solo album of anyone made on that label, and it's probably one of the best too, because I hate to glaze myself, but I think My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy 3 is a very good album. I'm very proud of how that turned out. There's a couple things I would have changed, like I probably would have cut those really shitty Vaporwave tracks, but I mean, other than that, I think it's really solid. Then we didn't do anything in December. We didn't do anything in December. I think the whole band just went on break in December. We didn't really do anything. We did our own projects, but eventually in January 2026, we did our final album, Elon Musk EP2, which that album had actually been planned for, I think, over a year in advance. Well, not over a year. It'd probably be like a little less than a year in advance. I don't know why I said over. Less than a year in advance it had been planned. And, God, sorry, I'm tired. A year in advance, and the album was a bit of a pain in the ass to make, because, you know, there are barely any members left by this point. I think there are only, like, 5 members in the band by this point, and, we didn't really... It was hard. Most of the album was made in the span of 1 day last minute, because we all started freaking out, realizing the album had to come out today. So we all were like making shit last minute. It was really hard to be motivated. But the album, I do think it is better than the first album, because I think the whole gag of the first album being entirely that one rap battle sampled was actually kind of bad for it, because multiple people listened to it and they said there's too many samples and they can't listen to it. So we decided to make it more diverse while still having those tracks, and I think that worked in its favor. The outro track, actually, the fucking Star Wars lightsaber duel, that track was made in February 2025, and it wasn't released until January 2026. And I had saved it for almost an entire year on my computer just for that album. So, yeah. After that, there were no more Honk's band albums, and there probably won't ever be one again. It's not impossible for a Honks reunion, I think. I do think it would be possible one day for Honks to come back. I do think it's possible. I'm not 100% putting that off the table. But currently, as it stands, there will be no new Honks releases for a long time. That wasn't the last Honks release, though, because in February I made My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy 4, which would be the last solo album, as well as the last album ever released under the label. It continues from the story of the My Beautiful Pepsi Fantasy series, as well as Elon Musk EP2, and it finishes off everything and puts a little bow on everything. Basically, the whole story is just like Sin in the canon. Sin in the canon is different from, actually me, because Sin in the canon's a fucking dipshit. I think I'm a dipshit too, but I try not to be a dipshit, And in the story, Sin fucking ditches Pepsi Man and leaves him. And then Pepsi Man just becomes a fucking chud. And by the end of the album, everyone dies. Like, the whole planet just blows up and everyone dies. Yeah. And after that, I kept doing stuff on Sin for a bit after that, on my own page. But eventually, like, the memory of everything that happened in the Honk server and afterward kind of just fucked with me so bad I couldn't do Sin anymore. And then I posted one last album in March called Sin Fixes the Internet, which is a sequel to Sin Breaks the Internet. And, well, Sin Fixes the Internet is much better than its original counterpart, I guess. I can't talk, sorry. Remember, I'm not doing any of this from a script, and I think it shows, but this is all coming from my mouth at the moment. Is there anything else I really want to go over? I mean, like, I can go over future plans, and I can go over some of the Honks drama, but I don't want to go over the drama, man. I'm just really tired of it. I guess for future plans, I think something I'm planning on doing is, I think that I'm going to just ease it for a little bit. I'm gonna, take a bit of a breather and chill on uploads for a bit, because, this video has already been a bit of a pain in the ass to put together, but, I think I'm gonna relax. I do have things planned, though. Trust me. I do have things planned. And I really hope that you'll be there to see them. I hope I'll be here to see them too, honestly, because of these new shitty laws they're trying to pass. But, yeah, I have shit planned. I think, a couple albums coming in the future, probably. I have maybe more videos like this, where I just talk about things. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just trying my best to move on from Honks. I'm trying to just trying to do my own thing nowadays. You know, it's been a bit difficult, but you know, I've learned that you really can't let the past hang over your head. Um, it'll fucking drive you crazy. Um, your past. What I'm trying to say here is your past doesn't define who you are. Um, and I know it can be hard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you don't know what other people are dealing with. I know it can be really hard to let go of things. It's been hard for me, you know, but I mean, you only have one life. You only get to live once, and you shouldn't spend your whole life just regretting everything you could have done instead of trying to be better for the things you can do now. Um, thank you for watching.
Could swim into your thoughts like your drugs to realize your body.